All right. Good morning, everybody. Here this morning with an update on devastating flooding in eastern Kentucky. Certainly the deadliest and the most devastating of my lifetime. Still in the emergency response mode, still doing search and rescue. And as we'll talk here in a minute, weather today may complicate that. First, I wanted to recap yesterday where I was on the ground in person in three of the hardest hit communities. Important to see it firsthand, to hear about the specific needs, and to react in real time. In fact, we were able to connect one healthcare organization that showed up at one of our facilities with needs with another that is going to help them meet those needs. So we started out at the Perry County Emergency Operations Center in their courthouse. An opportunity to meet with their emergency director, Director Stacy, as well as the county judge, the mayor, and a number of the other local officials that are responding. This is right outside of their courthouse. That's the mayor of Hazard on the far left. A lot of people that are working day and night and greatly appreciate their leadership. Then we were able to go over to an emergency shelter at West Perry Elementary in Hazard. You want something in the midst of the darkness that is an incredible ray of light. Virtually every person, I think, in this county who didn't have their house wiped out, and some who did, were here helping. An amazing, enormous operation. There had to be 100+ volunteers filling people's cars up as they came through, giving them hot food to eat. Baby formula to make sure that everybody had what they needed. This is the superintendent who's opened up the school in the black hat, who was, working his hardest to make sure that everybody is taken care of. A enormous thanks to the educators and everybody else who came in to do this. You know, when Mr. Rogers says, look for the helpers, these are the helpers. And now that we can reach many of these areas, the donations, the food, the water are flooding in. This school is filled with supplies that are going to help people. They had one whole area of intake just for supplies. Then you know what they had? They had personalized helpers to go around with each family coming in just to help them navigate in the midst of the chaos. Got to talk to some of the families here and the other places too. They don't have anything. The clothes on their back, but happy to be alive and grateful for the folks that are helping out. Right before I left, I talked to the principal of one of the elementary schools who was away, was able to get to his house and had to pull his kids out of a second-story window. Again, they feel blessed to be here. They had family members picking up supplies from here. Perry County hit hard. Then we went down to Knott County. It is really hard to describe the devastation there. First, we went to the Knott County Sportsplex, where we had a briefing with local officials, volunteers, and their families. This is just outside. Again, people driving up and getting supplies, but you go inside and mountains of clothes. And I got to tell you, it's tough to watch people sorting through clothes, trying to find the size that fits their family members when they have absolutely nothing. But just looking at folks taking down people's information. Now they've heard that FEMA's going to offer individual assistance to make sure that nobody gets left behind. This is the judge right next to me. The mayor is in the, I guess that's kind of salmon colored shirt. You got the state senator and the magistrate that are here as well. Fish and Wildlife, got a chance to thank them for all those rescues, and they're the ones finding most of the bodies. So make sure they're taking care of themselves. And then we drove down one of the worst hit areas with the judge. And this is a church on the way out that set up yet another a place where people can get help. The fire department's grilling out right there Next to it, there are so many supplies inside. They are accepting everything but clothes. They want to make sure that they are getting water, formula, diapers, all the rest. This is faith in action. And there was a Boy Scout troop from Winchester that had just shown up that they didn't know was coming, that was helping out inside. But then we went down. One of the hardest hit areas. It's really hard to describe. I don't know if we have a couple of photos of it, but I mean, houses swept away for miles. They don't know where some parts of people's houses are. Schools, both in Perry and in Knott County, just ruined. And it's going to take millions of dollars to ultimately repair. Even drove by and got out of the site where those 4 kids were swept away. I've had to do a lot of things that are hard as governor, and that was certainly one of the hardest. And then we headed up to Letcher County, where Letcher was one of the hardest areas to get to. And one of the areas where, because people couldn't get to them, they had set up their own emergency operation, again, trying to help people out, a room full of educators and volunteers helping other people. Got to talk in their emergency operations center. Harlan has set up their road crews, their emergency operations team. Their judge was there too, helping out. And then last thing, we were on the ground. Oh, geez. Virtually all the day, was a visit in Whitesburg to a neighborhood with people I know who'd lost everything and had to strip their entire house and put it on the front. As you look down in this neighborhood, everything is ruined, every single thing inside the house, and they're pulling it all out in front because of the mold. I mean, this woman standing next to me was in somebody else's house helping when we showed up. And she walked me down to hers, and there's nothing left. But she got her daughter out, and her daughter's younger than mine, but all the same toys, just gone. Those are her, just wiped out. There's a mayor in the back in the blue there again, helping to, this whole neighborhood had to be rescued, and it was only them. Right? Nobody else could get there. So it was them in kayaks. There was a kid who the water got so high could use a jet ski that they had that was driving around up on top of people's porches to get them out. But let me tell you, these are incredibly strong people, and they were all helping each other out, all up and down the street, even as all their possessions were gone. So another couple tough updates this morning. First, we can now confirm that we have lost 30 Kentuckians to this flooding, and that's going to grow. We know about additional bodies beyond these 30 confirmed. They break down as 7 in Breathitt, 2 in Clay, 16 in Knott, 2 in Letcher, and 3 in Perry. If things weren't hard enough on the people of this region, they're getting rain right now. Right now, though it's ending real soon, Floyd, McGoffin, Knott, and Pike have been under a flash flood warning that is ending soon. But there is severe storm potential today in all of the impacted areas. That is just not right. Most risk is on the northernmost part of the impacted area, but it is very unstable weather, and it could be even up to an inch. Just as concerning, high wind. You think about how saturated the ground has been. It could knock over poles. It could knock over trees. So people need to be careful. And it's even going to get tougher when the rain stops. It's going to get really hot, and we need to make sure people are ultimately stable by that point in time. All right, as of just a few minutes ago, 492 people without power. This has been a Herculean effort by those working to restore power. Remember that at one point at the EOC was above 24,000. I actually think we got close to 30,000. The counties with over 1,000 people without power or more: Perry, Letcher, Pike, Breathitt, and Knott. And I know they are working really, really fast. Yesterday, there was a report out in a roll-up of missing persons. That is not an accurate number. If need be, I'll go into the reasons, but that was one KSP post, and that was based on calls in. There are hundreds of unaccounted for people minimum, and we just don't have a firm grasp on that. I wish we did. There are a lot of reasons why it's nearly impossible, but I want to make sure that we're not given either false hope or faulty information. We have a total of 150 displaced folks housed at our state parks at the moment, and there are at least that amount in Red Cross shelters. Jenny Wiley Resort Park has a total of 141 people occupying rooms, cottages, and the campground. Rooms are fully booked, but the campground space is available. 4 people are staying in one camper at the Paintsville State Park campground. Pine Mountain still has at least 5 rooms. We are working so hard to get Buckhorn State Park open. That is in Perry County. That's in one of the hardest hit areas. We do have power. We're working on water right now, and I've told them it's got to happen today. If not, it's dry, and if there's power, we may have to move people there without running water. It absolutely has to happen today, and I don't mean that as any slight on transportation or Kentucky Power or anybody else working there. We're just reaching that point where people need a bed. There are going to be 36 rooms and 5 cottages that are there when we get that open. That can help a lot of people. And starting this week, Carr Creek State Park Campground will be available to hold travel trailers for temporary housing. All right, we're moving travel trailers fast. We got about 100 of them that were left over from the tornadoes in Western Kentucky. We got the same team that hooked them up in Western Kentucky from transportation that's traveled east. We are hauling these things, and we're hooking them up as fast as we can. We got 25 travel trailers that are being hooked up at Jenny Wiley State Park. That's going to increase the number of people that we can house there. And between 2 areas, I think we have 25 that we're hooking up in Knott County, which needs them. There's an ATV park there, and there's another site as well. Others are being delivered to hard-hit areas. The EOC and transportation are working directly with the county EM directors and leaders to identify places to get them. This is much faster than we had this option after the tornadoes. There are 14 emergency shelters active. They're assisting 483 people. There's 1 in Clay, Floyd, Knott, Pike. There are 3 in Letcher, Wolf, and Perry. Those are on our website, governor.ky.gov/disaster-response/flood-resources. FEMA. So thankful to President Biden for what I think is the fastest granting of individual assistance, at least we've seen in Kentucky. Though it was fast after the tornadoes too. It's initially for 5 counties. Those are the ones that FEMA could get to and see and chronicle or the devastation. More are going to qualify. And today I sent or am sending a letter asking for the other impacted counties to be added. Listen, what happened in the tornadoes were a couple of counties got there first, and then the other counties were added. This is a normal process. They're going through what they have to under the statutes and the regs and congressional oversight. So I've talked to leaders in Pike and in Floyd. I fully expect with the damage they've had for those counties to be added. Just keep working with us. Let's keep making sure we document the damage. This thing is going to expand. So, but for those 5 counties, renters and homeowners in Breathitt, Clay, Knott, Letcher, and Perry, who were affected by severe storms, flooding, and mudslides that began July 26, can already begin applying for individual disaster assistance. FEMA folks are on the way. In these counties, what we've asked for are people on the ground with the tablets like we saw in the West. that can go door to door, and we can let people know what holler or neighborhood they're going to be in a given time. We also want a set location where people can come in, and we're working on getting all the services you need, driver's license replacement or the rest. I'm telling our cabinet secretaries we want them all in one place so that people, they don't need any more of a hassle, and we want them as close to places that people can get food and other supplies as we can. I certainly think that it can be complicated to go through this process, so that's real helpful. But people can also go ahead and get online at disasterassistance.gov or call 1-800-621-FEMA. That's 1-800-621-3362. When applying for assistance, you need a current phone number where you can be contacted, your address at the time of the disaster, and where you're now staying, your social security number, a general list of damage and losses, banking information if you choose direct deposit, if insured, the policy number or agent or the company's name. Remember, it's a more complicated process than I wish it was. Don't give up. We want to make sure everybody who can qualify does qualify. All right, to go over the disaster declarations, I issued a state of emergency. The president has declared a disaster declaration. 14 counties and 3 cities have declared a state of emergency. How about some good news? Cell service is getting back up. Absolutely critical in response to a disaster. Helps people find their loved ones. It will lead to more good news. Letcher County's cellular infrastructure is being reported as restored. That is huge. And Appalachian Wireless, which serves so much of this region, is reporting that it is completely restored. Those are really good things. Like we said, very difficult to get a accurate count of those that are missing, but the way to do it is to report a loved one that you cannot find to the Kentucky State Police. We have multiple posts. Each post works a certain number of counties. We need you, if your loved one is in any one of these counties and you can't find them, or your friend or the people that you know that you've tried to reach out to, we need you to call the numbers that are on the screen right now and give as much information on them as you can. This is our best opportunity right now to go out there and find people we believe are missing. Now, restored cell service is going to help a lot. I was able to locate somebody I know the other day that I'd seen at least in a news report had been missing. So it was good to know that that person is okay. So again, if you're in Wolf or Morgan County, you got one set number, 606-784-4127. That is if your loved one are in those counties. Owsley, Jackson, and Lee, 859-623-2404. So Kentucky State Police is working real hard on this. Contact them. There's also an email if you can't get through the phone lines. The email's on the screen, ksppubaff@ky.gov. If you do that route, you need to include the information that's on the screen here. We'll put this on social media as well, and we just ask those in the media to continue to put out those KSP numbers and the email address. Still a lot of scared people out there, though, haven't been through more disasters than we ever thought was possible. When cell service gets back up, we do see a whole lot of people finding people they love and care about. So looking forward to hearing those stories today. Transportation cabinets, Pikeville Highway District, all state routes are passable. That includes 13 disaster counties, Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Letcher, Martin, Pike. I will say, especially in Knott County, some of the county roads that we're on are eaten up. What water can do to a road is incredible and tough to believe. There is a huge amount of infrastructure that is going to have to be rebuilt. In the Jackson Highway District, that's Breathitt, Magoffin, Owsley, Perry, and Wolf counties, repairs to roadways, actual repairs, are going to begin today. We're not waiting, we're getting after it. 4 state routes in Perry remain closed or partially closed. There are detours. The lone exception is Kentucky Route 1146, which runs through the Lost Creek area. 13 crews from highway districts at Bowling Green, Somerset, Flemingsburg, Manchester are in Breathitt County to assist in clearing the roads. This is all hands on deck. Bridge inspections are continuing as inspectors can gain access. So far, 627 bridges in the counties have been inspected, but these are only the public bridges. A lot of these people live on the other side of what we might call a creek or something even larger, and those are private bridges, and they're gone. And it's going to present an enormous challenge in rebuilding. And we don't have the answer to that challenge yet, but it's something that we are all talking about. Inspectors have found 21 bridges with issues that range from being impassable because of debris, houses on top of them. And some are totally washed out. We got washed out bridges in Owsley, Breathitt, Floyd, Pike, Perry, Leslie, Letcher, Knott, and Clay counties. They include county bridges as well as state bridges. Transportation, National Guard are taking a ton of supplies, as are folks all over the nation sending supplies. Just remember, we don't need your old clothes. We need water. We need food. We need cleaning supplies. Think about the normal household goods that people have lost, but those are the things that we need. Materials being delivered right now: cots, MREs, travel trailers, also forklifts for warehouse and distribution. Water outages: 25,325 service connections without water, 44,119 under a boiled water advisory, 22 water systems under limited operations due to damage and power outages. All systems are actively making water, filling storage tanks, and pushing out water. Big focus now has to be on identifying leaks, and infrastructure has just totally been wiped away. There are some areas we're not going to be able to get water to probably for months. Wastewater: 17 wastewater systems under limited operations, 2 wastewater plants experiencing bypasses, Fleming Neon, that one's bad, and Wheelwright Utilities as well. 11 systems are experiencing discharges from portions of their system. All right, Kentucky Office of Unemployment Insurance is working to establish a disaster unemployment assistance program that helps people in the short term. They're working with the federal partners to provide disaster unemployment system as quickly as possible to eligible Kentuckians in the 5 counties that have been cleared for individual assistance. The agency still has steps to take before it can begin administering that program, but they're working with the feds to get it up online as quickly as possible. And then we will be dispatching staff, again, hopefully in one location. Actually, I'm going to tell the cabinet secretaries today, it's all going to be in one location to make sure that, again, people don't have to go through any more than they have. Red Cross number: 1-800-RED Cross, 1-800-733-2767. A couple of legal steps we've taken here at the state level: our state of emergency, price gouging prohibition. Heard about one potential example of price gouging yesterday. Asked them to call the Attorney General's office, which has the statutory power to take action. Pharmaceuticals: we sign an EO that gives pharmacies the authority to do emergency refills and to temporarily operate pharmacies in locations that they otherwise couldn't. Talk to a pharmacist in Letcher County, in that neighborhood, who had, a harrowing escape. They were pulled out on that jet ski that is still going to work to fill prescriptions, because think about what people need right now, whether it's their dialysis or others, insulin, and they didn't have power, they don't have internet, they're filling things out. But they're there to help their people. We've also waived weight limit and hour limits for trucks coming in, bringing supplies. We've suspended the UI work search and 7-day waiting period requirements so people can get help early. Out-of-state electricians' licenses and 14-day grace period for electric inspections. Let's get houses up and running, HVACs working. We created the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, and I'm now working to waive fees on replacing driver's license and permits, and fees for replacing car registrations and titles. People are going to have to get all of that again. Donations to the Team Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. This is the Team Eastern Kentucky Fund. It's the only fund I know of that's going to be fully transparent, subject to open records, under legislative oversight, and has pledged 100% of the funds to help these families with no administrative costs. 12,035 donations, a little over $1.5 million. All right, a couple things that we're going to do to show compassion, to honor those that are lost, and to recognize the struggle that people are going through. First, I'm directing all flags at all state office buildings being lowered to half staff for 1 week in honor of the Kentuckians who are lost or who have been impacted by the flooding events in eastern Kentucky. Flags at state office buildings should be lowered to half staff beginning at sunrise tomorrow, Tuesday, August 2nd, and remain so until sundown on Monday, August 8th. I encourage businesses, individuals, and organizations throughout Kentucky to do the same. Let's make sure we're recognizing the loss that our people have been through. And the other is bringing back a way that we showed compassion to those suffering during COVID. So I'll be lighting the Capitol Dome to the extent you can see it through the repairs, and certainly the mansion green, the color of compassion, just like we did in COVID, but this time to show compassion for those lost during this devastating flood and for those who are cleaning up. So for everybody who still has those lights, I ask you to put them up for the people of Kentucky that have been through something absolutely indescribable. Let them know that you're thinking about them, you're praying for them, and maybe that family that's in your area with their relatives that's hurting sees your light out there and knows that people care. Finally, Brittany and I are canceling our official trip to Israel. While that is a bucket list type of thing, I cannot be overseas while the people of Eastern Kentucky are suffering. And we're still going to be in a critical stage over the coming weeks. I promised people yesterday I was going to be there for them. Today, tomorrow, and the coming weeks, and I'm going to keep that promise. In fact, today, I'm going to be continuing to keep a promise to the people of Western Kentucky. First, checking in on the city of Marion, which hadn't had enough rain, and look at what's happened in the state. But making sure that we are making progress on solving their water crisis. I'm going to be in Mayfield. 7 months. 7 months of keeping promises, and we're going to continue to keep promises to the people of that area. I hope that is a testament to the people of Eastern Kentucky about what we are going to do to stand with you. Going to be in contact with the Emergency Operations Center all day. Going to receive an in-person briefing. When I get back from the West, we will be back in Eastern Kentucky this week. We aren't going anywhere. We're going to repair every life, every structure, every town. We'll open it up for questions. We have one journalist with us. Carolina, if you want to start us out.
Yeah. Governor, have there been certain areas that rescue crews still have not been able to access? And can you just give us a general update on how search and rescue is going?
Search and rescue is continuing, though different. Certainly, we were able to get to places by vehicle yesterday. Now, one challenge we have is those folks that say live on the other side of a major creek and have lost their bridge, don't have a way to get over. And we're working on that right now. What are some temporary bridging? We can call out. We can see that they are okay. But short of airlifting them over, we've got some people that are stuck. And they're not stuck because of the water. They're stuck because of physically getting to them. There's a couple of areas that yesterday we were airlifting water to because we still couldn't safely get there. A whole lot of what we're doing right now is searching for people. As I was in Knott County, we went by a group that's out looking for bodies and had one of the dogs out. We passed a house in Letcher County where someone was concerned there was somebody lost upstairs that hadn't been located yet. But we are still actively in the search and rescue. And part of that is identifying people that are reported missing and finding them as well. I anticipate that we will continue with that for at least the next couple days, though we're certainly working on the emergency housing at the same time. In many ways, we have our first phase overlapping with our second phase right now. Tom Latek, Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. 2 questions for you. First of all, how many National Guard troops are now active and working over there? And secondly, given this large loss of life, I can recall that when the Com Air plane crashed in Lexington, they had to bring in refrigerated trucks to serve as temporary morgues. Has the state had to do anything along this line, or are the local coroner's able to handle it?
So we have over 300 National Guard active right now. Their mission's going to change a lot more to supplies, search and rescue, augmenting police, traffic, debris removal. They're really good at it, and our Guard has been amazing. I got a chance to spend just a moment with our Guard that have been airlifting people, and they were exhausted, but they were living their mission, and they were ready to go again at a moment's notice. We are so proud of them, the state police, Fish and Wildlife, local law enforcement, and Kentucky State Police, and individual citizens who've rescued more people than all those others, I think, combined. These are neighbors, not just helping neighbors, but saving their lives. We are proud of all of them. What we've had to do is fly the bodies here to Frankfurt, to have enough staff to perform the autopsies. We do have a refrigerator truck being used right now because we didn't have enough morgue capacity. So yes, that happened here in Kentucky. Stan Ingold from WEKU.
Thank you, Governor. I also have two questions. The first, you mentioned the high temperatures that are coming later this week, and you mentioned the setup of cooling stations. What progress is being made on getting those set up, and what will those provide? And my second question is that, much of Eastern Kentucky was in the red for community spread for COVID. I know the priority is to get people safe and get them housed, but is there any concern with COVID with these shelters where people are going to be in place?
I'll start with the second one. Yes. And so our goal is to move people from congregate shelters. That's where a whole bunch of people are in a gym, to individual rooms, for instance, at a state park or at a motel. We had to do the exact same thing in the aftermath of the tornadoes at a time when there was also real spread. But you're absolutely right on the priority. Number one, we get them safe and we get them stable. And then we try to get them in the best position possible to prevent that spread. DPH is also providing tests, masks, vaccines. We still have for anybody who wants or needs them. Let me get an update on cooling centers. I will say power is getting back up faster than we had anticipated. We have a whole lot of the counties that, have 500, 150 total service connections. That's, you use that in water, but these could be homes, businesses, et cetera, that do have power. That means that they're going to be in better shape. And most areas have at least a location, schools or others that are up and running that could serve as cooling stations. I think it's very likely that the areas being used to distribute goods and or provide shelters, which I think all of our shelters now have power, will also be able to double for that. But we're dealing with rain again today. But heat's coming, and we got to be prepared for it. John Cheeves, Herald Leader.
Thank you, Governor. So we've got several hundred people right now displaced, but staying at state resort parks or in Red Cross shelters. You touched on this a little bit about bringing in trailers from Western Kentucky, but what is the plan going forward, say over the next week, 2 weeks, to make sure that everyone keeps a roof over their head, especially in an area that, as you know, didn't have enough housing to begin with, even in the best of times?
Yeah, so our goal is to get everybody stable. And first, to make sure we know where everybody is, we got a roof over their head and we can feed them. And then it's to get them in a more stable, intermediate housing type situation. Now, what always happens in Kentucky is relatives and others reach out and take people in. And that has always been, even when we're working on all the other options, the number one way that we take care of each other in Kentucky. Now, we ordered 200 trailers for Western Kentucky, which we believed we easily needed, given the number of people out there. But relatives and friends said, come on in, we'll take care of you as long as you need. And that's happening right now. I kept asking people yesterday, you got a place to stay? My brother, my sister, friends down the street, they were looking at other people saying, we're going to be neighbors for the next couple months. But certainly the travel trailers are going to be a really big piece of it. and looking at all the different housing options. But you were right. Fewer housing options than most disasters face. That was the case in the West because the other towns with housing options are so far away. But it's going to be a really important challenge to make sure we don't lose towns. That's very possible in the situation we face. We cannot let that happen. About 100 travel trailers are ultimately going to come from the west to the east. That's before any type of FEMA work as well. A huge issue, though, is going to be that most of these folks don't have flood insurance. It's too expensive. So even if they get the maximum from FEMA, we're going to have a real challenge on the costs of rebuilding. Did have a good conversation with President Stivers, multiple senators and representatives today. I do think they stand ready to help to create something that can at least help cities, counties, and utilities like we did in Western Kentucky. We're just trying to get through the search and the rescue phase so we have a clear idea of what's needed. We're going to have much higher costs for the school systems. I mean, there's one school that's not going to be usable at least for this year if the structure can be saved. There are a lot more that are going to have millions of dollars of immediate repairs to get up and going. Talked to two amazing superintendents. Talked to three amazing superintendents throughout the day that are already working hard. And what I said is, you do what you got to do. We will find you the money. We're going to have to get kids that don't have a stable roof over their head in school as quickly as we can and give them the wraparound services that they need. Debbie Yetter? This says maybe.
Yeah, it's Debbie. Good morning, Governor.
Okay.
You mentioned the damage to the school systems and the work that's going to need to be done. With school about to start, will it be possible for schools in the region to start on time? And if so, how and where?
So if you think about these counties, I think at least two, if not three, are going to have to delay the start of school. Certainly Letcher, Knott, and Perry have been hit hard. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have a plan to start school. But I mean, looking at Knott, the number of schools hit, if they can do it, it's going to be a pretty incredible feat. But again, they're working hard. They already have the cleanup crews that are out there. They have wasted no time knowing exactly how important this is. But I do expect that school could and probably will be delayed in some of these counties. So we're going to need to provide them similar relief than we did in the West to make sure they are not penalized for it in the way that you calculate the funding that they get and that they have the funds to repair. But also, that's the best place to provide these kids the mental health services, the meals, the dental care, and everything else that they need. All right, that's today's update. We're likely to provide a couple written updates later in the day, maybe some video. Give us some prayers that the weather that we're seeing right now doesn't end up being too bad, that the wind doesn't knock down too much. Remember, these folks are going to need our help for the days, the weeks, the months, and the years to come. You can help by donating to the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund or other opportunities. Remember, water, cleaning supplies, household goods are things that people need. You can see areas to donate on our website. They don't need your used clothes. They need new stuff that can help them. God bless. These are amazing folks. They're hurting, but they're strong. And it's amazing to see how they're helping each other, even if they got nothing left. Thanks.